Have you ever thought about if you took a holistic view, vision, strategies in your life, how that may change? And that's what the W. And that W really is looking at your body and your overall flow, being able to recognize that every thought, every thing that you put in your mouth, and every time you clench down because you're stressed, that all of that actually speaks to the whole body and the journey that you're in. So today, I'm thinking about that. We have Debi Voris in here. Debi, welcome in.
Well, thank you.
Yes, we have Debi Voris in here, and we're going to be going in, and I really want to know about her journey. She talks about how she went through her journey of losing 70 pounds and what she's doing right now. What's the latest stuff? Because that these wonderful people that are out there as a holistic health coach. She's certified. She's learning all the time. They're probably doing tons of research out there because the research is really working with people, going out and speaking and also doing research for all these different things. So we haven't had her on our show, Fresh Talks Global Vision. My name is Rhonda Liebig, the founder and producer of this show. But we haven't had her here for like 6 months. And I was like, why don't you hook it up again? This was kind of fun having this conversation. Now, I've been in this health and wellness and holistic world for about 15 years, but overall in the health and wellness industry, about 25. I really care about this industry. I can remember when I was 4 years old and some really important things I was talking about with my family. So I can't wait to get into Debi Voris's journey. I really can't wait because there's always really good stories and it's just going to be a really awesome one. Debi, let me get you introduced more. I'm going to share more about your holistic view as a health coach. Are you ready for this, Mama? I can't wait to share you more.
Yes, I am. And I'm sorry if I interrupted you earlier. So,
yeah. So we really want to emphasize the holistic health coach, the certified holistic health coach. And I really want you to think about this, your overall body, your thoughts, your spiritual journey, your mindset, which I already said, thoughts, food, body movement. And we'll talk about if I missed something else. But I think of the overall view and vision so we can see how to manage the body. So one thing that really caught me and my attention was Debi talking about what really pushed her to be this holistic health coach. So she says, not only did the transformation of my own health inspire me to coach others, but during my weight loss journey, I had an annual blood test done, and the nurse asked me, "What the hell are you doing?"
yes.
I like that one. She explained that my blood work improved dramatically. From then on, I became passionate about revitalizing others' health and sharing my story. I've improved my coaching skills with training in the mindset arena. I love that. I think, Debi, like mindset just is so cool because you get to feel somebody release something that's stopping them in that limiting space. So I really love that. And you have a few people here that you learned from, but I bet you just are consistently learning from so many people. I think we get inspired. But Michael Bernoff, Tony Robbins, Deb Erickson, but different ways to break through mental blocks. And she's now a certified holistic health coach where she continues to grow and learn about mindset and health and the holistic approach for the mind, body, and spirit. And I'll make sure I also get the information about how they can connect with you. I've shared my website, and I'll make sure we'll get some other links from you also. My friend, let's go into, I definitely want to hear some of your journey. And can you add in there the conversation around holistic? Why that W instead of an H when it comes to holistic to holistic, and what that means so that people really get to feel what your purpose is here.
Well, thank you. Yes. Well, it's interesting how life changes us and we end up in a different path. And I was a video producer. I call it LBJ, life before my son Jason. And I never thought I would go down this path. But when in life, people have a lot of things going on, and I got overwhelmed taking care of. I was part of sandwich generation. I was taking care of my mom, who was declining with, and at that time, dementia to Alzheimer's, and a son that needed a lot of therapies. And I just didn't pay attention to my health. And that's what a lot of people do these days. They just don't pay attention to their health. And I saw a photo and a Christmas card, and I just bawled my eyes off. And I punched my husband. How did you let me get this? And but you know what? His love. He gave me a weight loss program that I started, and he said, "I'm going to do this with you." And so I initially released 50 pounds, and I was taking regular supplements that you get from Vitamin Shop, GNC, Mothers, wherever you name it. And I was so dead tired with energy, and I was considered the star loser. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to go on maintenance. I've had it. And yes, that blood result, I was shocked about, but the nurse did tell me it was in the normal range. It just got better. So no matter whether you're in a normal range, it can get better. And so anyways, I didn't know that a new supplement plan came into my life that made a whole lot different, big difference in my life. And first thing I noticed was natural energy. Now, one thing that, I'm a runner. I never ran from childhood to adulthood due to foot pain. And and at one time when doctor says you're never going to run, and we got to pay attention to not pay attention to those labels, because all they're going to do is slow you down emotionally and get you stuck. And what happened was my foot was feeling better. I always walked 40 to 50 minutes on a treadmill 4 to 5 days a week. And I actually decided to, because it was feeling better, to ease into running. And pretty much what happened with that is I told my friend, look what I'm doing. And she goes, oh, that's nothing. She was a runner. Come run with us. And I did. Later on, she said, do you want to do a half marathon? And I looked at her, are you nuts? But I did. And I actually finished that half marathon before her. And when I first started, I just went with the stampede, so to speak, and I just did it. So in life, sometimes important is just to do it, as that Nike thing, Nike t-shirt will say, just do it. And people tend to overthink things too. And over my journey, I've learned how to, work with mindset in different modalities. So I kind of do different things. And I've learned how to help people in different areas of health, not necessarily with just, weight release. And I call it weight release because you're never going to find it again because you released
it. Meaning you've done your work, and that's your transition.
Yeah.
You released it.
You released
it. I love these terminologies that you're using here.
Yeah. And so that's my whole point, is that, a lot of people yo-yo, and I haven't yo-yoed. I've kept my weight off for over 11 years. And I'm coming up to my 12th anniversary this November. And yes, I've had my problems, but I found ways to, solve them. And, whether I broke my foot or, dealing with other things going on in your life, I found ways to, work with myself, both emotionally with my mindset. And you know what? No one's perfect.
Yeah.
But I learned how to release things better and get faster at it. And identifying emotions and finding out where that block is that's in your past. Like you're saying, at 4 years old, you wanted to help somebody, right? So that's my whole point. It's just you need to, you have a lot of things from your life, whether it's recent or whether it's in the back and, way back in our lives, that may be stopping you, and it really shouldn't. For you've actually, took that on, and that's fabulous. Now, you want me to talk about holistic, or why there is a W in it. Well, holistic stands for whole, mind, body, and soul. So it's whole, it's for health for the mind, health for the body. And also, when you have that mind-body connection, it'll make your heart sing, and you'll be connected more into your intuition, more into your spirituality, and be open up to flow and faith that things will happen, and be open up to possibilities. Because a lot of people go, oh, roadblock or wall goes up. Oh, that's not possible. Everything is possible as long as you focus and work on it and learn. And, people are scared of failures. Well, it's just a learning moment and a growing moment, as you well know, Rhonda. So my whole point is a holistic approach.
Yeah.
And it's not, we don't do things just pinpoint to, weight release, pinpoint to, let's say heart or whatever. It's a naturopathic approach that is holistic, that has been there for 5,000 years.
Yeah, I hear that. And we're bringing it back, Mama. 5,000 years, 6,000 years, we're bringing it back because that wholeness is needed, especially the stuff that we're seeing out there and the fluctuation in people's health and with their weight journey and the weight journey, the body in itself. That's what you get to play with. Like, that really displays, how somebody's showing up in life. And it's wonderful to be able to learn those tools to be able to discover, how you want to approach working with somebody and being able to listen and hear them. I hear a lot of love in what you're doing. Especially, I want to go back to when you're talking about that you are basically celebrating that you've been not yo-yoing in your weight, and the reason why is something I love to hear, that you are learning to find those limiting things that just stop you and halt, and you want to go and maybe numb on something, but instead you're saying, we are bringing in those tools and we're going to make it strong so you connect with that whole experience, a holistic experience, mind, body, spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share, this is very unique in that I haven't really spoke to somebody about how you really keep things as balanced as possible. Like you said, you're human and you're going to have those ups and downs, which is wonderful because there is no fail and, and good or bad, but sometimes it feels really bad when we're going through some, hard, rough times. But can you share with me your view about how mindset and the work that you do help somebody so they can turn things around quicker, so they don't go down to where they're picking up the ice cream or the, those things that they can get triggered and then they want to go reach for it. What is something, or you can share with me the journey around that, because it really does sound unique that you're actually celebrating this is what I do and I can feel it. What is that's in the mindset and the approach that you're doing?
Well, like I said, emotions are very important, and being aware of them and understanding where they're coming from. And emotions can be high vibrational. Emotions can be low vibrational. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not perfect. When I broke that foot, all I wanted to do was get back into my running and do my half marathons. And I was being pulled in multiple directions with something else as well. And guess what? Those emotions of doubt, those emotions of frustration popped up.
Yeah. And
when I finally saw this, I'm like, I'm not going to let this happen. And excuse me, I said, damn it. And I just said, I'm just going to start training for my half marathon. And that's what I did. And even with training for the half marathons and things like that, you run into, foot strings, knee issues, and all this other stuff. So I searched out ways I can do things to make me feel better when I run. And I found the solutions, and I gotten through that half marathon that year because I released those emotions and I said, damn it, I'm just going to do this no matter what. And, that was probably breaking through on that particular half marathon was the most joyous half marathon. And you know what? It was one of my hardest ones too. I was literally running. I never walked, running against the wind.
Oh.
So it was a stormy day, and it started raining at the beginning, and it wasn't the most ideal running situation. But I was running against the wind because, in one direction you're fine, and the other direction when you come back, you're not. Yeah. And I'm like, and normally I get to the point where, people ask me, why don't you do a full marathon? I said, if by the time I get to that 10-mile marker, I'm like, I don't think so. But this time I was like, I'm okay. Boom. And when I got through that, I was like, yay, I did it. Because it took me, I missed one half marathon because I had vertigo.
Oh.
After I broke my foot. And then this one, I just did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got back on track.
Yeah.
And,
I love it.
we all have our little issues, whether you have vertigo, where you have, nerve issues or whatever you have.
Yeah.
And ways to, handle them is the best way to say that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hold that space. I want to go a little deeper in that area because this is the area. This is the sweet spot that you're talking about because you had vertigo going, you had your foot going, and you're still saying, I can redirect my attention when I'm starting to go down, that I can actually release the, maybe the old way of doing things in the cycles, but actually clearing it. Can you share with me going in deeper about that when you're working with people or what you're starting to see that people are dealing with, that they're really mindset having a struggle with that can potentially, if they don't step all in, that they could be going back to what they were doing before they started working with you? And how have you helped them, or what are the tools, or what are you doing to help them move forward?
Well, they need to be open to possibilities. And even though, one marathon I missed because of my broken foot, another marathon I missed because of vertigo, because I was training up to that. And the week before I had really bad vertigo. And honestly, throughout those 2 years, I was falling. So
Yeah.
that needed to be corrected. But my whole point is these things, these labels, these emotions, they shouldn't stop you. If you really have a high desire to optimize your health, you need to say, I'm going to do it and commit to it. And, people say I have a lot of grit and determination. Well, I do, because I don't want to lose, and that is a fear factor, right? What I had. And yes, I'm growing older in time, but I don't care. I'm running a little slower. I'm just doing it and I'm enjoying it. Because, when someone says you're not going to run due to the foot issues you have, or even walk, it was painful for me to walk. I didn't like that answer. And out there, a lot of, I don't think doctors mean to do this, but they give people labels and they own up that label. It becomes a chip on their shoulder. So it's important to understand there's possibilities. There's ways to navigate through that to make you a better, I don't want to say a better person, but a happier person.
That's the point. Don't you think so, Debbie? It's like you're learning your journey about I bet you find ways to explore and be happier and happier because you're like, I would say masterfully doing it because you've been doing it for so long, and to be able to help others do that you have to be learning. There's so many big things we deal with. I mean, all the way from COVID stuff and helping people through that journey, noticing that you are still not going back to your triggers and the things you're able to explore and open that up. Is there something about in a personality that maybe is when they start getting more into the heart or more into their spiritual journey that you are able to connect them more with this overall holistic approach so that they're not fighting with their brain about, like the old school stuff they used to do, where you can kind of cohesively bring something that to the picture for them to help them connect with that in their journey?
Yes. In life, people think think that life is hard. So instead of saying life is hard, you take baby steps, okay?
Yeah.
As you know, as a coach. But when you start doing things in flow, do you understand flow? So flow, you realize it comes to you. And in life, flow comes in, flow goes out, flow comes in. But you need to have faith. That this flow is going to come back and come in and come back and come in. And because when you're in flow, when you're diving, things are amazing what will happen to with opportunities that open up. I've been on a panel for the Los Angeles Tribune with a group of ladies, and I've written articles, and recently I've been on a magazine cover. It's a digital magazine, but it's a magazine cover.
Debbie, how'd you get on the magazine cover? Now this is talking superstar stuff, because you are actually saying things that are extremely important that people are keeping their eye on. Tell us about the magazine and what you were focused in on when you were on that cover. Like, what did it splash there saying Debi Voris, the holistic certified health coach? I mean, like, what was it about that you got to be on the cover?
Exactly what we're talking about. How emotions affect you physically, mentally. And I also talked it through stress. Now, stress is going to tank you. It's going to tank you because your emotions feed stress. Stress feeds emotions. And, as everybody knows, because they're a coach, emotion, you have energy and emotion, like Tony Robbins and Joe Dispenza says.
I love it.
And my whole point is that when emotion can drive you positively, emotion could drive you negatively, as I experienced that frustration moment I had in my life. And I have frustration moments every once in a while. But my whole point is you may get upset and things like that. And then you look back into why you feel this way. And it's like, oh, this happened in the past. That's why I feel this way.
Yeah.
Okay, now that I recognize it, then and that's called awareness. When something triggers over, because pretty much you run your life through your conscious mind. Subconscious is like a wave of things that brings things into your mind and ends up making people overthink, right? Yes. And so when something came up, I was like, okay, I got to stop being tied into that emotion. And I got over it. So the next day I was fine. But it takes time. And some people, it may not be immediate. It may take a day, depending how big that connection is. You need to recognize that something in your past, whether somebody said something, somebody, did something, whatever. Humans are not perfect. Either animals. I work with animals too, by the way.
Oh, I love you.
Yeah, I work with animals.
Okay, Debbie, I have to add in here about the animals, because animals, I have 5 acres, and the animals I learned so much from. But I believe that we are like our animals. When we start clearing, we are beautiful, sweet. If we get upset, if we turned around quick, we just kind of shake, like my kitty's tail just kind of shakes, like woo, and then but if we look at them, that's who we are when we start clearing our mind and our vessel of the exterior world and how we're interacting with it and fighting with it. I love what you're saying. Keep going, Mama. I have a question for you in just a moment.
Do you want me to talk a little bit about the animal thing?
Well, you know what? Okay, you know what I want to talk about, because I want to see your journey in this, because we were talking the whole body. We're talking about from the point we started your journey to where you are now, and how you're celebrating how long it's been that you've been able to maintain the vessel, the body that you live in. And I think about this. So we are known to say about 60 or 70,000 words to ourselves. So subconsciously, there's a lot going on there. And 90% of that, in whatever latest research, is that it's the cycle over and over. And so you have this stuff going here. And I just want to talk to you about the holistic body and ask a question here.
Okay.
So then everything that's wiring and firing here, it's interacting with the body. So you have your pancreas that's trying to, build the insulin. So because the liver's increase in sugar into the body, so you have the energy, and then you have, so that you can be stressed. And then you have the adrenaline that's flowing, and you have like cortisol, and you have all these things that your body's is producing because of what's happening here.
Yeah.
In your work and what you've been doing for yourself and everybody, how do you connect that? Do you see that when you're looking at that whole body and the spiritual journey? How do you work to be able to make sure that everything is flowing with the food that you're saying, let's do this, and you're looking at their mind? Like, how do you get that cohesiveness going?
Yeah. Well, like you said, there's a heart brain coherence. There's also a brain gut connection, and people are always going to get signals from their body, and they need to be able to read them.
Mhm.
You know, I go to see a chiropractor, and he goes, "It's amazing. You know exactly where to pinpoint when I need to work on you."
Wow.
Because I'm so in tune to my body.
Yeah.
And that's because I tune into my inner being,
Yeah.
which I believe is my soul. Okay. And I tune into that, and I look to see where there's tension. I've been in multiple car accidents, so I get a lot of tension in my neck.
Mm-hmm.
Those car accidents were not my fault. I was a middle car in 3 of them.
Wow.
So it's life that happened.
Yeah.
And so, I have to deal with those issues when I do. And yeah, they kind of, set people back, but I always know I can get forward again.
Yeah.
And what I do is I just use the emotion. Like when I kept on falling while I was running, I was like, okay, I laughed it off. I'm doing the cha-cha right now. and I can only get you so far sometimes, but my whole point is that, I just laugh it off.
Yeah.
High vibrational emotions of joy, love, and compassion, and everything else, and laughter will knock those feelings out of your system. Knowing what that feeling is and redirecting it, or I do a lot of redirection. I do a lot of looking at a pattern, but my whole point is that it's important to understand this stuff, and people they don't want to take time to understand it. And it's really important because it's going to get you further in life, and you can release things easier. And as you said, emotions will trigger that stress. Stress triggers cortisol. Cortisol triggers insulin imbalance and thyroid issues and metabolism issues. And it slows down your body system.
Yeah.
So like you and me, we both work in those arenas.
Yeah.
And we kind of educate people what's going on and what they can do better. And
Yeah.
everybody is a different fingerprint of health, so it's a different approach for everybody.
Yeah.
And because everybody has, I hate to say this, when they're born, their gut microbiome is pretty much what the mother has. So
Yeah.
and then it gets exposed to whatever else that goes on in their life. So everybody has the unique fingerprint of their gut. And if you don't have a healthy gut, you're going to be more exposed to some more anxiety and emotions and things like that than you really think about. Now, I got to tell you, Rhonda, I also got off a depression medication. So, I'm a big fan.
A lot of that stuff, huh? Debbie, that would be.
Try to get off the medications as you can, but you know what? They have a doctor that put them on this stuff, and those doctors need to take them off. But there's
Debbie, do you know that I was on thyroid medicine for 20 years? And so what you're saying, and I've been off for over 10 years, but I mean, I am just listening to you because us health coaches, we approach it different ways. And I love of this conversation, and everybody just really lean in on, for sure, getting connected with Debi Voris, because it's about just the way you even talk, Debbie, the lightness and the giggling, and you're finding those ways to really say, hey, this is life. Okay, I'm feeling this, but ride the wave. And don't, and like what I call it in one of my pillars, I call it confusion. You're like, oh, vulnerability. Oh my gosh. And you're like, oh, yeah, but keep riding it. Don't numb it. Because on the other side, whoosh, you just feel so powerful. But not in the ego sense, like your heart just keeps growing and everything starts making more sense. And what you're saying that I caught is that you start getting connected with different parts of your body because you're believing and trusting in yourself, because you're riding the wave and not stopping your learnings from happening. And we all have the answers within us, but we keep stopping them if we keep numbing them.
Exactly.
Debbie, thank you for being here so much. I love your giggle. I love the approach that you have. And I seriously feel like this overall thing with all the good detail you shared also is just about happiness and giggling and, keeping that spirit and heart open. I mean, that's what I get each time we talk. So I really appreciate you. Thank you for bringing happiness into our day today. I just feel lighter, and I really appreciate you. So make sure you send us links, because I do have your website, but we'll get some more, and we'll make sure that people connect with you. And I love you. Thank you.
I love you too, and for your time.
Fresh Talks Global Vision. Utilize this information, re-listen to this again, and take notes on where you may be feeling things in your body, but maybe you can't find them yet because you're not used to flowing with the wave, but you're used to cutting it off, because it is vulnerable and scary. But you go, oh, that's what life is. It's better than staying stuck and then being depressed and anxious and like all these things, because you just get confused when you stop your emotion from going. And emotions are so good, so good. And I remember when I didn't flow with emotions. And Debbie, I think that's probably your journey. Is you're probably a superstar in this, because the giggling and stuff. I have a feeling you kind of were born with this giggling and lightness, but you learned more. We're going to have to talk about that negativity next time. We're going to see another 6 months, because I think we have a conversation about negativity versus the giggling and riding the wave and finding the happiness factor. That's our next one, Debbie. So stay tuned, everybody. Debbie will be here again in 6 months. Appreciate you, my friend.
I appreciate you.
Thanks for reconnecting. Namaste, everybody. Love you. Hashtag speaker locking arms. Let's keep opening the vocals for everyone, for ourselves, and just stop the blaming and shaming. And Debi Voris is here. She says, just giggle with it, ride the wave. Everything's okay. Get all vulnerable. Don't worry about it. It'll all work itself out. I love you. Thank you. Bye-bye.